Hi guys, I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama, and this video is going to be Flopsy 3.0. It's going to be the third and hopefully final chapter in the saga of this weird injury, illness, strange condition that one of my chickens had. So this won't be a particularly educational video, it's more of an update. And to all of you, Jen, Nikki, Dean, Rich, Kathleen, everybody who has been so kind and considerate and worrying about my little bird and praying for her and everything, we're doing okay. The bad news is that I don't have an updated analysis, any kind of updated report from the radiologist or anything. But what I wanted to do was tell you what's happened over the past week since we got the x-ray results basically, and you know, what kind of happened last night, and then what we're planning on doing going forward. So a very, very brief recap. I have prayers for Flopsy and then Flopsy 2.0, two other videos that are in the medical playlist if you haven't seen them. But I had a chicken, let's see, today is Monday. I had a chicken who is my most feral wild bird. She's 5 out of 5 as far as the pecking order. She's on the bottom of the hierarchy, if you will. And last Monday afternoon, she started acting like she couldn't walk, like a weakness. There was no blood, no injury, no nothing. It happened on Monday morning. I thought maybe she had fallen somehow when she came down from the roost in the morning, because she was like that when I found her, and she would try to get up and hobble a little bit, and then she just went back down, and her toes were curled under her, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like what happened? I was able to do a basic chicken physical on her, and I did not see anything as far as, you know, a flesh wound or a cut, or I mean, her crop looked normal, her eyes were bright, her, you know, her coloring on her comb and wattle, like everything that you know to look for outwardly on a chicken. Her crop felt normal, like I have no idea what was going on. And I had just gotten over another saga with my first sick chicken, with another chicken costing me, you know, $200 for an exam and some antibiotics, Blue, my other Easter egger. And so it was like, what is going on? My chickens are suddenly falling apart. You know, I've had chickens for 2.5 years, and this is the first time that I'm having any issues, and they both happened within 2 weeks. So, so Flopsy is the chicken we're talking about, who has been having this weird injury, and I didn't want to mess around with her because I didn't know if this was related to the first chicken being hurt or what was going on. Don't worry, the girls are, depending on where they are, they're acting like they're a little bit hot, but there's a fan right up there that's blowing. They had a mister that was going. They have ice in their water. They're okay. But Flopsy, I had no idea what was going on. It was not the same symptoms as my other sick bird, but I thought, man, I'm not messing around with this. So I quarantined her, which is why this crate is still out. And she had been crated for 5.5 days. I had taken her to the vet. We decided to do an x-ray. You can see the other video about the x-ray. But basically, going to like what you guys don't know yet, I guess, is she has been quarantined all week with her own food and water. I did have a tarp and a fan and stuff over here. It's all been dismantled, so don't think that was her existence for a while. That way I could watch her, I could make sure that she was not being picked on, I could examine her poop and her eggs and, you know, anything that was happening, just to kind of see. And I will say that I think that everybody who has chickens should have a spot where you can quarantine a bird, whether they're sick or they're injured or you're getting more birds you're integrating to your flock. I have videos about all that. But Flopsy, for whatever reason, did not do well being in here by herself. She wanted to be with her sister, who's Blue, the other Easter egger who I had mentioned was sick. She wanted to be with the other bird, and she would pace, like, you know, a dog that gets stressed out or whatever. She would pace and knock over her water multiple times a day. She'd knock over her food into the water that she had knocked over. And, you know, this is South Texas summer, so I was more stressed out by having to keep 2 zones cool instead of all my chickens are over there. But now I'm having to keep her from getting too hot here. And you know, I'm worried, you know, I go out with my kids for a few hours and I'm thinking, oh crap, you know, when I come home, is she gonna have knocked out all of her water out? So it was very stressful. She was very stressed out. And then we had gotten the pain medication, so I had to crawl into the crate and catch her, and I'll do a video about how I gave her liquid medication, because I had to basically open her beak and like force it down her throat. But that was fun because she would try to escape by jumping over me, and she actually did escape the other night. You know, I'm on my hands and knees, and I've got the syringe, like, don't do this at home, kids. But I had the syringe, like, filled with the medication. It's called Medicam. It's a pain medication. And I had it in my mouth, like I was holding it in between my teeth, because I need both hands to, like, catch this stupid chicken. And she jumped over me, scratched the hell out of my back, because she jumped up onto my shoulders and down my back. And she immediately ran. And she's never been out in this yard, remember. She immediately ran over around the coop and back behind and was trying to get in with her sisters. And she was like calling them, like she wanted to be with the other chickens. So I made the decision last night. This has been 4th of July weekend. I tried to get a hold of my vet for 4 days, but she was out of town. And so we were kind of in a holding pattern, and I was running out of the pain medication, so I had to stretch 2 doses over 3 days. And so I was kind of like, you know what, like, I'm out of pain medication now. She laid a small egg yesterday. She's acting, that's her right here who's coming out. So you can see she's walking, I know the light's not great, I apologize. She's walking gingerly, but she is able to stand, but her tail is down. Let me see if I can zoom in. You know, her tail is down. You can tell she doesn't feel 100%, but she's way better than she was a week ago. A week ago, she could only stand for maybe 5 seconds, and then she would kind of flop back down on the ground. So I made the decision last night, okay, I haven't heard from the vet. I don't have any more pain medication. This is driving me crazy and is way more stressful for her to be separate. And so I integrated her back in with the flock last night. It's always best to just random information to put in, you know, when your birds have been quarantined and you're ready to integrate them, or you've got new chickens or whatever, you always do it at night when everybody's going to bed. Because then, you know, everybody's just focused on going to bed and they're not really messing around with the pecking order and all of that stuff, as long as everybody has enough room to roost. And remember, each chicken needs about 8, or if it's a regular sized bird, if it's not like a bantam or a silky, they need about 8 or 10 inches of parking space for their little fluff butts. But as long as you've got enough room, put everybody together, either right as they're going up to bed or after they've gone up to bed, and just put the new birds like up on the roost. And then they kind of all wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, new guy, what's up? And then they're okay. So that's the time to integrate. So I did it last night, and I gave her her last dose of medicine. You know, she's all freaking out. The water and the food has gone everywhere. And I cleaned this like almost every day. It was just, oh, it was such a mess. But I put her in last night. She got picked on a little bit by my alpha, who I'm sure was like, hey, where have you been? Hey, you know, let me just reestablish whatever. But she's in there and she's okay. So at this point, the plan is that, I mean, and I've done research on the neoplasia and on, you know, a chicken with reproductive disease or with cancer or with, you know, all of the other options. And at this point, she's improving. She laid an egg and the egg looked normal. It was small, but it was normal. At this point, to me, for her quality of life, her being so stressed out being by herself, me having to catch her every day, her spilling her water and her food, and it just being a gigantic mess, whatever she's got, first of all, and I talked to the vet, you know, again, she didn't really have more answers for me today, but she's awesome. She's fighting for me. She's honestly kind of pissed at the radiologist and is trying to basically get permission to send it to another practice, I guess. But until we have some like really good definitive answers, right now the plan is I'm going to leave Flopsy in with the other girls. I've spent literally $600 on chickens in the last month that were free. And, you know, budget is definitely a serious consideration for us. I hate that I'm even mentioning it, but it's been, you know, it's very much affected our family for the next few months. So I can't afford to do anything crazy. I would love to get another x-ray just to see where she's at now, because now she's improving. So it's like, what was that mass? Was it something weird? You know, like what was everything? Like, I want to know. But honestly, right now the plan is, and I told the vet, like, I want to hear from another radiologist. I want somebody to give me some more specifics, but we're just going to kind of leave her with everybody else because she's happier. She has the food and water like everybody else. She got to dust bathe this morning, like this little awkward dust bath. You know, she has the grit now and she has more room to roam. And so we're just going to let her, I mean, to be honest, I'm just going to let her live out her days. Because if it is cancer or it is reproductive disease, I mean, we can't cut her open and operate on her. She doesn't even weigh 4 pounds. And I mean, you know, I don't even know if they would do any type of anesthesia with a bird that's this small. And you know what I mean? It starts to get into, and I've done videos on like the quality of life and thinking about, you know, what your limit is on your budget and what your limit is on what you would put an animal through. And so I don't have any great answers as far as a diagnosis. I wish I did, but I don't. And I may never have any answers, but she's improving. So it'll be interesting to see over the next week, now that I have no more pain medication and I don't plan on refilling it. Because again, it was so stressful for her, and it's $40 a bottle, and you know, it obviously did help her. So I don't know. At this point, the plan is, unless I get some definitive information from a radiologist, and then maybe I could do something and maybe I wouldn't. But at this point, we're just going to let her live out her days. She is with the rest of her sisters, and she hasn't been doing her frantic little calls. So I know she just wanted to be with everybody else. And I know, you know, she's the bottom of the pecking order. She wanted to be with Blue. Like, she cuddles up with Blue when they sleep. And I think instinctively also her being by herself, especially as it got dark, I'm sure that instinctively for her was like, like I want to get off the ground. I want to get with the rest of the flock. So it's better for her that she's not locked up anymore. I am going to keep this out for a couple of days just in case things get bad. But at this point, I don't really have any updates. I did just want to do a video because there have been so many kind people who have been asking about her and praying for her and wondering about it. And I feel so bad that I'm kind of in the comments and I'm like, yep, I don't have anything else to tell you. Like, so, you know, she did lay one egg. She is able to walk, so she can walk to get food and water. She can dust bathe. She can do all the chicken stuff. Her poop looks normal. Her coloring and everything looks fine. So I don't know what she did to herself. I mean, it was in the x-ray. It's not like I was making it up. But, you know, for now, we're just going to let her be. I will be watching her very closely. I'm going to turn on the mister again in a minute just to cool them down some more. But that's the only update that I have. You know, and the vet totally agreed. She's like, I know you guys have spent a lot of money. I know we don't have any better answers. I know that, you know, you can't just keep grabbing a chicken and giving her pain medication because then it kind of gets to the point where, you know, is this really for the bird or, you know. I think we're all going to be okay. I wish I had more answers. I like data. I like getting information. I want to know what's going on. Flopsy's coming out. But that's the update for now. My guess is it's, you know, it's either something that's going to resolve itself or it's not. And if it's not, then we're just going to let her live out her days as long as she's comfortable and she's happy. And she's doing okay. There she is right there. But I'll keep a close eye on her. I'm going to turn on their mister again so they can go play in the mud. But I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama. I appreciate all the love and consideration and support and everything. We'll consider this case closed unless I do another video.